Hello and welcome to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. My name is Nathalie Himmelrich. How to Deal with Grief and Trauma is completely self-funded, produced and edited by me, Nathalie Himmelrich. Consider making a small donation to support the podcast. Go to bit.ly/support, capital G, capital T, and podcast. I repeat, bit.ly/supportgt podcast. Thank you so much. And for more information, please visit Nathalie's website, join the podcast Instagram page, and subscribe to the newsletter to receive updates on future episodes. Welcome to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. I'm your host, Nathalie Himmelrich. And for today's special episode, I have chosen to speak about the topic that is looming as tomorrow is Mother's Day. And as much as the world tells us it's a day for breakfast in bed or flowers or greeting cards and family gatherings, I want to take a space to talk about those of you who might feel heavy-hearted, conflicted, or even empty as the day approaches. Because whilst Mother's Day can bring moments of joy and gratitude, for many it also amplifies pain, longing, and what is missing. So whether you are a mother whose child has died, a daughter whose mother is no longer living, a woman who longed to be a mother and never got the chance, or someone navigating estrangement, complicated relationships, a generational trauma with your mother or your children, this episode is for you. If you know someone who is a daughter whose mother is no longer living or a mother whose child has died, you might like to send them this episode as a token of your compassion, as some form of support. So I want to begin today by sharing a piece of my own story with you, which I haven't shared in this form of the podcast ever. So first of all, I started to think about Mother's Day 2 days ago in the morning as I was laying in bed, and I was wondering, what does it actually mean to me and where do I stand today? Some of you might already know part of my story, that I have lost my mother through suicide and I have lost a daughter in the space of just 4.5 months. But let me share you a little bit more about how I became a mother, because becoming a mother was something I longed for over many years of my life, but it didn't happen right away. I actually had the image or the thought that I would be a mother by the time I was 30, had a couple of children, but reality was different. It took time to find the right partner, to build the kind of relationship where I felt safe and ready to bring a child into the world. And because of the situation, namely he didn't want to have children, it brought some complications for me. And there came a time when I investigated into me because of his wish not to have children. And I realized just before I was 40 that I actually wanted a child. And so I opened up to him and he said, okay, I'll think about it. And to my surprise, with even less than 12 hours, he came back to me and said, okay. I was actually so surprised. I couldn't understand why he had changed his mind and so quickly. But it didn't come without difficulties. We went through trying to conceive naturally, which didn't happen. And given my age, we then decided to proceed with IVF, which proceeded with an operation that I needed for my ovaries. And so when I finally did become pregnant, and there was one fertilized egg implanted in me, I was blessed to carry not just one, but actually 2, which we later found out daughters. So my first Mother's Day was nothing like I had imagined. You see, my first Mother's Day came just a month after I had experienced 2 of the most profound losses of my life. 4 months earlier, I had lost my mother, which she died from suicide in January 2012. And 8 months earlier, just 3 days after the birth of my twin girls, I had to say goodbye to my younger daughter. So there I was, holding life in one hand and death in the other, being celebrated as a mother whilst grieving the loss of my own, looking at my living daughter with immense love and aching for the one that wasn't here to hold. It was like straddling grief and joy, like a split between those two areas. And I also felt like my heart was split wide open, pulled into two directions, joy and sorrow, side by side. I share this because I know that some of you listening today carry a similar ache. Maybe tomorrow you'll scroll through social media and you see a post or post after post celebrating perfect families and happy moments, while you sit in the quiet with tears in your eyes, missing someone who is no longer here to hug, call, or celebrate. Maybe you'll find yourself in a store where Mother's Day cards line the shelves, none of which feel like they fit the reality of your relationship with your mother or your child. Maybe you'll be asked, do you have children? Or is your mother still alive? Or are you celebrating with family? And you'll feel that familiar lump rise in your throat as you wonder how much of your story you feel ready to share. I want to tell you that all of these feelings, the longing, the ache, the bittersweet memories, the conflicting emotions, they are normal and they are valid. Mother's Day is not a simple day for so many people. And if you find yourself feeling out of place in the face of the world celebration, you are not alone. I especially want to take a moment to speak to those of you who are motherless daughters. Whether your mother died recently, years ago, or whether you have lost her in other ways, through distance, estrangement, dementia, addiction, or absence, your heart may feel tender tomorrow. You may miss the chance to call her, to hear her voice, to share the everyday things you still long to share. You might carry a deep ache for the comfort that only a mother can give. Or you might hold pain for a relationship that was never what you've hoped it would be. I see you. And I want to invite you to pause tomorrow, even for a moment, to acknowledge all that your heart carries. The love, the loss, the longing, and the hope that you can carry forward what was good, at the same time as grieving what could never be or what can no longer be. And to you, dear mothers who have lost a child, or you never had the child who you longed for, I know this day can bring a particular piercing ache. Because when the world says, Happy Mother's Day, your heart might whisper, but I'm not complete. Or there's nothing happy about my day as a mother, or as a would always wanted to have been a Mother Day. You may carry love for a child who cannot physically wrap their arms around you tomorrow. You may feel unseen by those who do not know the fullness of your motherhood story. But I want you to know you are still and always will be a mother. Your love did not end with death. Your love for children did not end with you not having children. And your child's life, no matter how short, has left a lasting impact on this world through you. Take time to honor yourself tomorrow. Speak your child's name or your children's names, light a candle, or just do something that feels right for you. You matter. Your motherhood matters. Your mother's heart matters. And your love is eternal. And those of you navigating infertility or estrangement or complicated mother-child dynamics, or longing for what was never or could never be, I want to say, your pain is real too, and your experience is valid. You do not have to perform happiness tomorrow if it doesn't feel true for you. You have permission to protect your heart in whatever way you need. Whether that means celebrating with loved ones, spending the day in quiet reflection, or turning off social media altogether. Let yourself choose what supports you best. As I'm sitting here recording this episode, I noticed just before I was starting that I was feeling so cold. So even though it's sunny outside and a beautiful May Saturday, I have put on some warm socks and a comfy, cozy t-shirt in a way to look after myself. So as I look back on that first Mother's Day after my own losses, and as I remember feeling torn between wanting to participate in the joy for my daughter, with my daughter, and needing space to honor my grief. So here's what I have learned since then. It's both. It's always both. We can celebrate what is beautiful and honor what is painful. We can remember with love and grieve with honesty. We can hold the fullness of our humanity, joy, sorrow, longing, gratitude, side by side. So as you face this Mother's Day, I invite you to approach it with kindness towards yourself. Let go of the pressure to fit anyone else's expectation of how this day should be. Ask yourself gently, what do I need? What feels supportive? What do I want to remember, honor, or protect today? And know that whatever you choose, you are not alone. We are many, holding both the beauty and the ache. We are many, remembering, grieving, and loving in our own unique ways. So if this episode resonates with you, or if you'd like to share your own Mother's Day experience with me, I'd love to hear from you. You can find a button in the show notes that asks you to share a text with me. So please, I'm looking forward to your stories. Or you can always find me on social media or through my website at nathaliehimmelrich.com. And if you know someone who might need this message, please feel free to share this episode with them. Also on my website, you will find some beautiful gifts for someone that you might like to gift them in regards to Mother's Day or in regards to their healing. There's one card set, which is affirmations and reflection cards. And then there's another card set, which is 31 cards of May We All Heal, which someone can use to focus on their own creative healing. I will put a link in the show notes as well. So until next time, be gentle with yourself. Hold space for your heart, and remember, love never dies. Thanks for listening to How to Deal with Grief and Trauma. If you'd like to be updated on future episodes, please subscribe to my newsletter on nathaliehimmelrich.com. If you need grief support, please contact me for a 30 minutes free discovery session. How to Deal with Grief and Trauma is produced and edited by me, Nathalie Himmelrich. To support this podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe to or follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you. And remember to keep breathing. I promise it will get easier.